In this brief tutorial, I want to show you how to format a professional report. I will specifically be showing you how to do that in Google Docs, but doing it in Microsoft Word is almost exactly the same, and so you'll be able to use these instructions for Microsoft Word as well. In particular, there are 4 different areas I want to cover in terms of formatting a professional report. The first one is making sure that the font types, sizes, and styles are consistent across your entire report. Secondly, I want to show you how to logically place section and page breaks in your document. Third, I want to make sure that you know how to number the pages. And finally, I want to show you a very nice feature which automatically will create a table of contents for your report. So let's get started and talk first about how to make sure that the font types, sizes, and styles are consistent throughout your report. There are 3 things that you should do in order to do that. First, what you should do is create and manage a report outline that has all of the content that you will have in your report. That outline may change, and as it does, the system will continue to work, and you'll be able to continue to manage and edit that. But I strongly encourage you always start with this step. Then I'll show you how to format titles, headings, and subheadings. And then finally, how to change the default fonts, sizes, and styles for those titles, headings, and subheadings. So what do I mean by creating and managing a report outline? Take the things that are in the assignment or your plan for all of the content that will be in the report and put it together into a list of each of the different sections in such a way that you could identify the type of font that will be used for each section. So as you can see here, I have sections which I've labeled as description, and I've had sections where I've labeled as text goes here. Those sections are there because that will have a different font than the section that is above it, or the words that are above it, the words that are below it. So make sure that you have that type of an outline. That'll become more clear as I show you what you're going to do with that outline. So once you have that outline, what you will do is you will format titles, headings, and subheadings. Basically what that means is you'll take every line of this outline and you will identify what it is and what kind of font it should have. The way that you will do that is you highlight that particular line of text. You then go to where it defaults as normal text. You identify what type of font you want for that. In this particular case, the title page would get title. And then when you click on title, it will actually change that to the default font for the title section. So you will do that for every line that is in your outline. And just to give you more of an idea about that, what I show you here on the right is what happens when you have done that. So title and the table of contents have both been identified as titles. The design problem 1 and the name of that design problem, and design problem 2 and the name of that problem have been designated as first level headers or main headers. And then the subheaders underneath that have been labeled as header 2s. And then those sections where it says text goes here, those sections have been left as the default normal font. So you should go through and do all of that on your outline. When you do that, the next thing that you are then able to do is to systematically change the default fonts. So currently what was shown there was the default fonts when you started, but you can now change those. So let's say that you wanted design problems 1 and 2, which are these main headings, i.e. heading 1, you want them to be bold, you want them to be in green. The way that you would do that is you would take the first instance of this, where I've labeled design problem 1, change that to bold and green. Once you've done that, highlight that section of text, then it will identify that text. You go into format, you then, which is here, you then click on paragraph styles, which is here. You then click on the type of section that it is, which is heading 1, which is there, and then you can click on this option which says update heading 1 to match the text that you've just put in there. When you do that, what happens is the other places that have heading 1 have now been changed to be consistent with the first place where you have done that. So that's how you change the default fonts. You can go through and do that for each of the different styles that you've picked. So you could do that for the titles, you could do that for heading 1, you could do that for heading 2, and if you've picked other styles, then you can do that for those other styles as well. So this means that you now have a framework that's pretty good. That framework is still all on one page, so that's the next thing that we are going to work on, which is to start putting into place logically placed section and page breaks. So the way that you will do that is you will identify in your document where you want a new page to start. So for example, the title page, you want to be on its own page. The table of contents, you want to be on its own page. So exactly before where you want to start a new page, what you need to do is you need to move the cursor there, then click on Insert, click on Break, and then you have some choices. You can either use Page Break, which works fine, or you can use Section Break, and because it's actually a different section, it seems more logical to actually just call that a section break. You click on Section Break, and it will move that section. And it means that it will always start at the top of a page. Okay? So now that you've done that, you've broken your document into the logical pages where things are going to be. And typically that means that titles will start on a separate page. First level headings will start on the second page. And if you have a long document where the second level heading is got a lot of content, that would typically start on its own separate page as well. Now you have your pages. Next thing is you want to insert page numbers. The way that you will do that is you can do this globally across the entire document. You would then go to Insert, you then pick Page Numbers, and then you have a set of choices of where you want the page numbers and how you want the page numbers to appear. Your choice there doesn't really matter, just make sure that you do have all your pages numbered. So that is inserting page numbers. Now, the final thing, which is very, very neat once you see how it works, is you can automatically create a table of contents for your entire document. The document now knows where your headings are, your titles and everything else, and your subheadings. So what you do is you basically go to Insert. You move the cursor first off to where you want the table of contents to be, which will typically be right underneath the heading table of contents, which is typically the second page of your document. Then you click on Insert. Once you've clicked on Insert at that location, what you will do next is the choice that you need is to insert a table of contents. It then gives you a set of choices of how you would want those table of contents to look. You can identify and play around with that, but I think the one in the upper left is the one that I have typically used. And when you do that, by something that looks almost like magic, you will get the entire table of contents to show up. So that's everything that I wanted to share in this very brief tutorial. Here's a couple of parting thoughts. First off, if there's something that you couldn't follow, just put the description of what you're trying to learn to do into Google or YouTube. You'll find other videos that show you how to do each of these things. It is extremely important that you start right. If you do this first, it will save you a tremendous amount of time and frustration as you work on your group project and as you submit your report, and as I grade it based on you having done all these things and having a professional looking report. You will be graded on the PDF that you submit. So there are some things that sometimes go wrong between the document that you have in Microsoft Word or in Google Docs and when you save it as a PDF. But if you follow the things that I've showed you here, that will avoid most of those types of PDF errors. So that's another reason to do this. If you have further questions, I think one of the best resources to use will be the Learning Assistants. Good luck, and I look forward to reading your reports.